I'd like to share with you about walking the labyrinth because it's a wonderful thing to do, not only alone or when there's just a few people on the labyrinth, but also to walk it with groups. But when you're walking a labyrinth, first of all, usually we will have a facilitator there. The facilitator's responsibility is to welcome you into the labyrinth. The labyrinth isn't a maze. It's not designed to fool you or trick you. It's actually designed for you to find your way. And so you begin at the entryway, and what happens is we want to make sure people have room in front of them and room behind them. So the facilitator will tell you when to go on in. So the key to walking a labyrinth is finding your natural pace. Finding your natural pace, not the pace your mind thinks you should go. Oh, I'm in this amazing cathedral and I have to go slow. The pace your body wants to go. Now, we often think about the labyrinth walk in three different phases. We call it the 3 R's. The first part of the path, and please understand this is just a thumbnail sketch, just literally a real quick thumbnail sketch. You will provide your own territory when you go in. But the first is releasing, just coming home to yourself, just shedding the everyday thoughts, the things you're thinking about, just allowing yourself to step into another world, another time, sometimes even the imaginal realms. And you're simply following the path. That's all you're doing is following the path and just releasing, letting go, quieting, opening, emptying. And then in this little map I'm giving you, by the time you reach center, it's the second stage. And that is what we call receiving. You've released, you've emptied, you've made room, so when you reach the center, you can receive. Now, sit, stand, move over, make room for one another, stay there as long as you want. And often people ask, well, what will I receive? Well, that's the uniqueness of it. Everyone has their own unique experience in the labyrinth. Some people feel a deep sense of peace. Other people feel kind of an answer or a shift or an insight into something that's going on in their lives. Someone who's in an active grief process may be deeply within their grief and be shedding tears. That's possible too. And then when you're ready, you follow the same path back out, and that enters that third stage of the return. So it's releasing at first, it's receiving in the center, and then you follow the return path. Now, there's lots of return, there's lots of REs in that. Resolve, reclaiming, remembering, recollecting. All sorts of things happen on that return path. There's a strange sense of strengthening as you are walking back out. Now, please understand, you can release anywhere in the labyrinth, in the center or on the return path. You can receive anywhere on the labyrinth. So again, this is why I'm saying this is just a tiny thumbnail sketch. It's only a map. It's not the territory. You'll provide the territory. There's a couple things to be aware of as you walk into the labyrinth. First of all, I've already mentioned about following your natural pace. And that means move around people. Or if people are, because you're moving slower, people are gathering behind you, let them move around you. An easy way to do that is on the turns. And I'll say a little bit more about walking it in a group in just a moment. But following your natural pace, that's one very important thing. Another to know and to be aware of is that simply the return path puts everything into a two-way street. So if you're going in and people are coming out of the center, you'll be meeting on the path. And do what feels natural. There's no protocol or etiquette or guidelines to the labyrinth. We're so used to kind of trying to make up what we're supposed to do along the journey that we forget what our natural impulses are. So do whatever feels natural. If it's a friend and you want to exchange a greeting, that's fine. If you want to stay with your own meditation, you might keep your eyes down on the path. Again, there's not a lot of, what sometimes people use the word protocol, and I sort of, wince at that word. Again, because we need to find our own way. A lot of meditative practices fall by the wayside because we're trying someone else's method. So make the labyrinth your own. truly make it your own. So walk it once or twice in the guidelines I'm giving you, and then, you can walk directly in the center and stay there and walk the path back out, or do whatever feels like what you need at that moment. And a good time to be in touch with that is when you're approaching the labyrinth to walk. Now, another thing to be aware of is if there's any expectations that you have. For instance, some people come to the labyrinth and think they're going to get shazammed. Well, if you're hoping for that, you're probably reducing your possibilities considerably, because expectations get in the way. Expectations are often silent and unconscious, and they really don't then offer your experience, because you're looking for something else other than what you're experiencing. So that's the way through expectations. Experience your experience. Experience your experience. That's really a good cornerstone of any meditative practice. Whatever comes up for you as you're walking, experience that. Take it in. Become conscious of it. So there's a couple other teachings, and that is, one, use everything that happens in the labyrinth as a metaphor. For instance, if you get lost, that means you've lost your focus and stepped off the path. You may not know it at that moment, but that if you get lost, you wind up back in the center if you were on your way out, or if you're on your way in, you wind up back at the entryway and kind of confused and like, wait, what happened? And so just simply use that as a metaphor. Are you lost in your life? Are you having a challenge to focus on the path that you're on? Just use that. Take the small experience and broaden it for reflection. Also, there isn't any strong right way or wrong way. And just simply find your own way. There's not lots of, it's not laden with rules or rule bound. Find your own way in walking. Let me say one more thing about groups walking the labyrinth, because sometimes people get into the labyrinth and there may be 25, 30 other people in the labyrinth. And sometimes people feel distracted and they can't kind of keep focus on their interior world. And what I would suggest with that is just simply then reverse your focus. Instead of trying to meditate inwardly, meditate outwardly. Let the people you're meeting and you're seeing on the path become part of your meditation. In fact, let it become all of your meditation. That we're all walking the path together. It's very true. It's also metaphoric, but it's also very true. And to greet one another or be present with people in a soft-eyed way. And that's not hard to do in candlelight, especially. But just let other people behold other people and let them become part of your meditation. Become icons for the human race. Also, in a crowded labyrinth, move around people can be a challenge. So this is one thing that can be very helpful. If someone's walking in front of you and you can see that they're coming up to a left-hand turn, we'll just simply turn the same time they do. And you're then ahead of them on the path without any disruption at all. So enjoy the labyrinth. Let yourself experience it. Let yourself experience your experience. You might want to journal afterwards, take time for reflection. You might want to journal beforehand as a way of preparing for the labyrinth walk. Just to be a little bit clearer, a little bit with your hopes or expectations, or what you might want to pray for as you're walking the labyrinth. So enjoy it. It's a wonderful blueprint of transformation. It'll quiet the mind. It's a mirror of the soul. It's a watering hole for the spirit.